episode of NCP. This is going to be a very special Star Wars related podcast. Maybe call it the order of NCP. I don't know, something Sith related.
I don't know what you said.
With me, or let me introduce myself. I am Staz, and with me I have Mike and Joey.
Hello, from Ohio.
Yeah, and Mike made a special
in the flesh.
Made a special trip for this weekend, and it's nice to see him here, enjoying Chicago weather at the moment. I should say enjoying Chicago food.
It is nicer right now than it is in Ohio.
Yeah, and I'm sure the food tasted a lot better too.
It depends what you're eating. Pub food, Ohio, desert wet, right.
Gotcha.
Stock up on the stuff, that you miss.
Yeah, pizza,
Portillo's.
Italian beef, hot dogs.
Jardinier, I'm sure.
Yes, can't touch that stuff out there.
Yeah.
You just gotta bring it with.
Hard alcohol.
Dear Lord. So, with this, again, this is a very special podcast that we're going to be talking about Star Wars. Anything and everything Star Wars related. Well, I should just say Battlefront and Episode 7. But depending on if we like doing this might be a more regular thing. Probably heard that. Anyway. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Star Wars, Lucas Disney released the second teaser trailer for Celebration on Thursday. Last Thursday. The 17th or the 16th?
It was Friday, so it was the 17th?
I thought it was Thursday.
No, I watched the panel live. Was that Friday?
Oh, was it Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta say, awesome. The first one was really cool. Like, we got to see little snippets in, some of the characters, Flynn, darting up and looking all, paranoid and the X-Wing and stuff like that. But this second teaser trailer felt like Star Wars. I am super, super pumped.
The sound
effects, the music, seeing the Star Destroyer in the background and then opening crawl or the opening shot.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
That was really cool. Seeing the downed X-Wing, seeing Vader's melted helmet in some sort of layer or something like that. It was awesome. And
tears to your eyes,
sure. I had man tears at the end.
I got misty.
Yeah,
everybody did at the end.
Everybody got misty. Chewy. Yeah, Chewie, we're home. I'm like, oh my god. Funny story. I was watching that in the bathroom at work. I'm like, oh, new Star Wars trailer. I started crying in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my god, this is so good.
So walking by, I was like, what is he doing in there?
Sobbing, bringing it down.
But what'd you guys think?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah,
tears for sure.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Now we have the two teasers. What do you guys think about which one do you like more, the first or the second one?
Obviously the second.
Yeah, I mean the first one didn't have much as far as the characters. It's just to
True.
see the classic more of the classic characters.
True.
The only thing you really got as far as that goes in the first one was the Millennium Falcon shot, which was still. It gave me goosebumps.
That's still a pretty cool
shot.
Came
up as the music went.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, is he doing the 360 dodging of the TIE fighter at the laser? Yeah, that was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess one thing that I liked about the second teaser is that we're not going to get the expanded universe retelling of what happens after Episode 6. So there's not going to be an Emperor. There's not going to be a Grand Moff. Not Tarkin. Oh my God, what is his name? Grand Moff Thawne. The Thawne trilogy, which is a very popular series of books that happens after Episode 6. And this Kylo Ren guy looks really cool, really kick ass. So I'm very curious to see, especially with the new design of the Stormtroopers too.
Yeah, Tom actually had a question about Kylo Ren while we were talking about it. He's like, do you think that he is a true Sith as far as training and stuff?
Okay, yeah, I guess we can go into this question since we brought up Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
My theory is I share a theory similar to a person I listen to on YouTube. He's off of AMC Movie Talk. He's Chris Harloff from Schmoes Knows, and he's a huge Star Wars fan, just like John Campea. But he mentioned something about Kylo Ren being tied in to the old Republic Sith, more specifically Revan.
He looks very reminiscent of Revan.
He looks very Revan-like, and the thing too is, what we know, at least the only detail that we know about Kylo Ren is that he's a relic hunter.
Yeah. Do you think he was the one with Vader's helmet?
Yes, and that's why because that layer because you can kind of see that Vader's helmet just isn't like on the ground. It's actually propped up in like maybe like a glass cabinet or like some sort of like shrine. Almost.
In one of those concept photos too, it was him holding it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that makes sense.
So while it's kind of hard because what we know is the expanded universe now become legends, and what we know is canon is being rewritten now with the comic books, the Star Wars video game, Battlefront. That we'll talk about in a little bit. The books too. I think that he could potentially be an actual. It's without a doubt. He's definitely a Force user. He's definitely trained in the art of lightsaber combat and the Force.
Claymore lightsaber combat.
Claymore, which we'll also talk about too, because we have a question regarding that. Do I think he's an actual full Sith? At the moment, I don't believe so, just because his name is Kylo Ren. If they wanted to tease
Darth or anything.
If they wanted to tease that, if Disney really wanted to tease that, they would have called him Darth Ren or Darth Kylo.
And unless it was Vader, like there's not really any options that we know of. You know, like he secretly had an apprentice.
True,
something like that.
Yeah, and again, because the expanding universe became Legends, in the expanding universe, we knew that Vader dabbled a little bit in trying to train people.
Yeah.
But we don't know if you know, in the comic book, he'll actually train somebody who's going to be Kylo Ren. We don't know if Kylo Ren is an existing old Sith guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a theory that Darth Plagueis might be Kylo Ren, because some of the books that have come out, Tarkin, and now this Dark Lords of the Sith book coming out, they mention Darth Plagueis a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's another theory that Chris Harloff also shares,
Mm-hmm.
is that it could be an ancient Sith, or at least an ancient dark side user. What about you guys? What do you guys think about Kylo Ren being potentially Sith or something else? Or
I think he's cool as like a just like almost. I don't want to say fan, but like, you know, like he just takes on their ideals and like almost trains himself.
Oh, almost like a fanatic or like a cultist kind of a thing.
Like he's Force sensitive, like so
Yeah.
he was like home trained or something like that. You know,
Hendrix of Sithism.
exactly.
Yeah. That'd be actually pretty cool.
'Cause, like even his lightsaber looks like we saw that shot from the fan celebration is on display. It looks very pieced together and
Mm-hmm.
like he doesn't have the parts to repair it with that big gash in it and stuff.
Yeah, it looks very like made in your backyard kind of a look.
Exactly.
But we also don't know. It could be something that he made, or it could be a relic as well. It could be an old relic.
Towards the bottom of the hilt, it's missing pieces, but it looked like Vader's handle almost.
It did, yeah, a little bit.
With the black
modified
strips.
Vader.
Mm-hmm.
He recovered it.
Or it could have been Luke's original lost lightsaber too, because technically Luke's in the old trilogy or the original trilogy and Vader's they're the same lightsabers that Vader just modified.
Remade it red, yeah.
Modified it on that design. At least the hilt, or at least the
But you see
grab.
his in the. They hand it to what you assume is Leia. Isn't that the blue one?
I don't know because in the
Well,
teaser
definitely
It's
looked
definitely
like-
not the green.
Yeah.
it's definitely not the green, and that's something that we don't know is that
So I want to know how they recover that.
exactly could that be a scene with Kylo Ren? You know, is this an early on scene with this young
He's got
Kylo?
Luke's hand and
Yeah.
and the Darth helmet. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I love these guys. I'm gonna kill them now.
I
It's
want
a
to be
sport."
them. But yeah, what about you, Mike? Any theories on this particular villain?
Okay.
Is he an actual? Is he going to be an actual villain? Is he going to be a lackey? Is he going to be?
He's definitely gonna be a villain, but I don't really have any too much predictions on him. Like there's not enough
Mm-hmm.
for me to make my decision. I guess.
One theory I read was like because the Empire essentially crumbled
Mm-hmm.
at the end of 6, that like the stormtroopers are in different factions now. Like
Actually, that makes sense because in
and
the
he could
posters,
be leading one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they have like the order, and it looked very like Nazi regime esque.
Yeah,
But he may not be leading that, you know,
That's
or
true, yeah.
associated with it.
yeah, because that's one thing that we'll have. At least episode 7, hopefully, will answer either in the opening crawl or in that first act. What happened to the Empire when the Emperor died and Vader? Because technically,
Yeah.
if you think of it this way, like if your 2 head guys die, because granted the Emperor was controlling everything, but if he died and then if Vader took over, yeah, he could take over. but it probably wouldn't have been that good. There might have been some splintering at that point, but you have a huge power vacuum, and just like you said, there could be a whole bunch of factions.
That's what me and Tom were talking about the other day. Like some generals, could have just been a power struggle, somewhat like a Roman Empire type situation.
And that's very reminiscent to the Thrawn trilogy, because there's a power vacuum after that, and this alien Grand Moff comes in. Brilliant tactician, is able to crush the rebellion at that point, or the New Republic, and then almost bring it to their knees again. So that'd be cool to see if that's something that is going to play out in the movie. Or
well, I hope they have to. I mean, because it's supposed to be 30 years or so after the events of Jedi. So I mean, you need to give us some backstory. I mean, that's why they have those books and stuff coming out, I assume, in comics to cover that. But
But that all that should just be supplementary. It shouldn't be required. It shouldn't be
as long as they cover the basic bullets in the movie. You can read that stuff, fill in the gaps. Like timeline wise, what happens in between.
Even if it's an opening crawl, like it's been 30 years since the fall of the Empire. Splinter factions have been
actually show time for once.
Well, that would actually be really cool. That's one of my biggest problems is that they don't show time in the original the 6 episodes. But that's a whole other topic. So, anything else you guys want to bring up? Because we do have other questions that we'll answer towards the end of the video or the podcast. But any other impressions about Episode 7?
I just loved seeing the fighters and the X-wings and the Millennium Falcon.
It can be some epic aerial fights.
Yeah, like flying over the water and you see the water spraying up.
I love the... I assume it's Jakku, the planet, when the Falcon goes through. It's like a Super Star Destroyer skeleton.
Yeah.
That was pretty badass.
That was really, really cool. I will say, too, that while J.J. Abrams has brought the practical back, like B8... B88. Or B88. Or BB8. Or, I thought it was BB-8.
It is BB-8.
Yeah,
I keep mixing up. Yeah. It's very similar.
BB-8 is an actual practical droid. Like, that first teaser was not CGI. That was a legit made
Did you
thing.
see him at the celebration on stage?
I saw the picture of him and like R2-D2 standing off.
They actually rolled him out. It was pretty cool to see him out there.
So, but I will say that even though there's a whole bunch of this practical stuff, CGI for those space battles or those aerial fights are going to look so good, so amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I will probably spend the money on 3D just to see what they would look like in 3D.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean... For a movie like that, we're going to see it 6 times as it is. So might as well mix it up with IMAX, 3D.
Yeah. Like once a week viewings. Changed up a little bit. Oh my god, yeah. It's going to be awesome. So, speaking about aerial battles and fighting, they also announced, or they revealed the Star Wars Battlefront game being made by DICE.
I'm so excited.
That is another one that almost brought me to man tears. It looks so good.
Actually, I think that one brought me... Well, no, they're both crazy. I put hours upon hours upon hours in Battlefront 1 and 2 with my brother, with Matt, everyone, and I even rebought it for the computer.
Yeah. One of
Steam.
One of our, I don't think you were there, but one of the first, that's how I met one of our, our core group, Mike, Ryan, Bobby, was I actually had a Battlefront 2 LAN at my house. Like, this game is...
Yeah, that was before I knew you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I knew Matt, and me and Matt would play, but that was about it.
Yeah, it was...
We used to do that at Tom's house, too.
Yeah.
Especially with 2. We would play that Tatooine hero level.
Yes.
For hours upon
That's the only level I played, practically.
Yeah.
That and Hoth.
I would
do the speeders and Hoth.
I would do that one, and then I think there was another one with the DLC that came out where you could play as either Asajj Ventress or Kit Fisto. They actually opened up other levels to it. And I think one of them was like that snowy, like monolith-looking level, where you can actually play as the heroes on that level too, which was really fun. But Battlefront, the new Battlefront, I guess we can call it Battlefront 3 just for the sake of calling it that.
Mm-hmm.
The Frostbite engines look phenomenal.
Well, yeah, I'm a big Battlefield junkie, and they do an amazing job with the graphics and everything. That's why I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah. The fact that the whole video was gameplay footage was pretty astounding.
Granted, they could be saying that. I believe 99% of that was actual gameplay footage. Now, when they showed the montage of the different things going on the different planets, that I totally believe is actual gameplay footage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going to look phenomenal. And they announced that you could fly the Millennium Falcon, which is awesome.
I didn't see it.
You can fly the Millennium Falcon. You can play as... They also announced that you can... One of the 2 playable characters as well is Boba Fett and Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my mind when I heard that.
Because I heard that the hero aspect wouldn't be in it at first.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy it was, because that was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck if they didn't.
Now we don't know if they're going to limit it. It could just be like Vader, Jango, or Boba Fett. I can't call him Jango Fett. Vader, Boba Fett, and then maybe like somebody else. Maybe like the Emperor or another like high-ranking...
With the Battle of Jakku DLC, it could be a Kylo Ren.
It could be a Kylo Ren, yeah, exactly.
That'd be cool.
Or the Chrome Trooper.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Not clone, Chrome Trooper, which was also saw in the TV trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad they're going to have the heroes, because that's one thing I loved about Battlefront 2, which is even though you could call the heroes for those special times when you filled your meter up. I love doing that. That's all I was all about. But yeah, it's gonna look good.
I love that like half a second that you get of like inside like a TIE fighter. That like because like I love Battlefield just because the vehicles. It's so realistic. Game will piss you off because it's always hard. It's not like anything else. It's not Call of Duty where anyone can play the thing. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah,
but they do it right.
If they do it right, I will totally welcome a learning curve for it, but I have 2 fears, or actually 3 fears. 1, microtransactions, which will just destroy the game, because Hardline is filled with microtransactions, and it's just a reskin of Battlefield 4. Garbage. Anybody who wants to check it out, check the Angry Joe review of Battlefield Hardline. He knocks it. He gives you straight points of why this game sucks, why it should not be worth $60. And he has one of his fears is microtransactions in the new Star Wars Battlefront. And then 2 is this is supposed to be canon in the Star Wars universe. How are they going to keep it canon? Are they going to keep one side like because they also announced too that there's no story mode.
Yeah, it's all online.
It's all online, which I am like, son of a bitch. I like a story mode,
but I mean even the other ones didn't really have that much of a story mode.
Well, Battlefront 2 actually had a story mode because you played the 501st. Well, that was the first introduction of the 501st.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Follow from planet to planet.
Yeah, from the Clone Wars all the way up to the the end of.
But I feel like it wasn't that hardcore of a story. But
it wasn't, but it was still a story that gave you purpose of why you're here, and like, oh, you're here because the rebels are doing this, and you have to stop them. Mm-hmm. I think by them not adding a story kind of gives it that workaround of like, oh, if this is canon, we don't have to worry about making a canon ending. Yeah, but then again, this is also supposed to be happening in the same universe and everything like that. And then my third, I guess not fear, but my third point is, wasn't Endor in the episode 6 like a secret military base for the Empire?
Yeah, that's where they had the shield for the Death Star.
Death Star, yeah. How come it's back on Endor and this happens before episode 6? Like, are they just teasing it just to show off concept, or is this actually part of the canon story for multiplayer?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It makes me wonder.
It could always not even be Endor.
Well, they showed the Ewok trees.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
They just didn't show Ewoks.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
It could be a different part of Endor.
I mean, it could be a different part of Endor. I mean, I guess you could also think of it too, like, I guess it, just because it's a bunch of huts in the tree doesn't necessarily mean it's Ewoks, but that looked like Endor.
Yeah.
That hardcore looked like Endor.
Well, yeah, even the outfits and everything. I mean, I understand they have the forest camo, but
yeah,
which is pretty reminiscent of Endor.
Yeah. Now, granted, again, this is my way of thinking. Like, we know that maybe Vader, before he stopped on the Death Star to motivate those workers, maybe he had to clear out like a small rebel faction, and that's how the rebels knew that there was something on Endor. That's an idea.
The Emperor was pretty upset during 6, so I could totally see that. Like, let's just get this done with. So I don't want him knowing about this. I'll personally oversee it.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's that I was...
My number one fear is the game being broken. Just because of, like, EA's had a record of that.
I think that's to be honest, I think that's some more like realistic fear, other than like microtransactions. But yeah, if because we were talking this with our friends about this, if everybody's getting it for a console, because most of us have an Xbox One or a PS4. Most of us have Xbox One. We're going to be getting this for Xbox One. You mentioned something about getting it for both.
I'm getting both because like I said, I want to see that on, my great graphics card. And
depending, I actually might get it for both if it's really, really good on the PC. But there's that fear that with Battlefront 4, the consoles got shit with the launch. Their servers were broken. You couldn't connect. You couldn't make a clan right. You couldn't party up with people. Now, the PC version was a little bit better, but they still had the same problems.
And that is kind of scary, because Xbox gets it even earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
It'll be the clonies and the test dummies.
Exactly. Get the kinks out before the actual
like every
release.
game, now. They're not done yet.
Yeah.
But you could play them for now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other topic, my friend. It's just that early access stuff. Which, in theory, is awesome, but... It also is just like, I don't want to have to play a broken game for 3 months. At that point, I should have just have waited.
Yeah, most of the time you're not going to go back to it at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
When it is fixed.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that EA, especially if Disney or Lucasfilms has any power over EA and DICE, like if they're like, hey, if we don't want any hiccups, we don't want any issues with launch. If we hear anything bad about servers or anything like that, maybe they'll crack down. But I hope that, especially with Disney backing, EA,
they can throw a lot of money down.
Either throw a lot of money down or like scare them, like
we'll destroy you.
Don't fuck up. This is Star Wars. You fuck up Star Wars, you're dead.
Especially around the release of 6 or 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's a big selling point, having the DLC of Jakku and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And like just from a selling standpoint, this comes out a month, I believe roughly a month before
November 17th,
and then December 17th I think is Star Wars. That's a perfect like Christmas gift too. Like for kids and everybody alike. If anybody hears that it's crappy, server bad issues or whatever, that might dent those sales, and it would be a little bit harmful for everybody at that point.
Could be. I feel like something as big as Star Wars though would sell no matter what.
Yeah, that's true too. You're also banking on that.
It's more,
especially with the movie hype.
Oh yeah,
like a month before you'll see TV spots and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It'll.
Especially how fast people saw those trailers for Star Wars and Battlefront. Like people are gonna get it.
I watched them right in that panel.
Yeah,
for Battlefield.
I saw them shortly thereafter when they were put up on official channels on StarWars.com and stuff like that. So, and you guys want to or anything else you guys want to talk about with Battlefront, or I guess anything was cool?
I'm pretty excited for the vehicles. That was always my favorite. Like with Battlefield, I'm just doing vehicles. I feel like I'm gonna do it right.
I hope you can control AT-ATs.
It looks like it.
I just hope that they're not like an environmental kind of a thing, because you mentioned something about having to control certain points
for airstrikes,
which would make sense for any vehicle. But if the AT-AT
Battlefield and Battlefront was like that, you had the different bases that you get the different vehicles from.
Well, true, but like there were classes that you can call in an actual airstrike, couldn't you?
In Battlefront?
In Battlefield.
That was like Bad Company. Then
I could see that being like some sort of perk,
it quite a bit,
like a Call of Duty style kill streak.
I hope they don't have a kill streak thing.
I mean, I don't mind a kill streak, but I
hate kill streak things.
I wouldn't mind like if they're gonna do a class. There's gonna be like 4 or 5
there
classes.
Was
always classes, which I'm totally fine for. But I hope that each class has like a not like a rock paper scissors perk or like an Uber move, but like a move that won't necessarily make you a bitch. If like I'm usually the support. I like throwing down ammo for people. I like having a lot of bullets. But if I have to go against like a tank or like aerial combat, or like worry about like planes and shit, like I'm really screwed. Like I have to either switch a class which I'm not proficient in. I hope that they have something.
You're talking as a single player, like you're gonna one man it. Battlefield has always been about teamwork.
And it's
and squad.
It's all online.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is all
you
on
just
squad.
gotta kind of.
So it's going to be all about your squad and everyone does their role in the game.
True.
That's what it's going to be. So
similar to like Destiny, like you got the Titan with the bubble shield, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
helping each other out to take them down.
Everyone has their job, and that's how that game's probably going to be. Especially because that's how Battlefield is. That's why a lot of people didn't like Battlefield. You can't one man it, Iron Wolf it.
Exactly, like Call of Duty, just run and gun. You can have one guy like save your whole like death match, which you can't really do in
Battlefield. Yeah, you'll get locked down.
Yeah,
you have all snipers. You're going to be pinned somewhere, and you ain't going to get nowhere. You have all sport classes. You're all going to have ammo, but you're all going to die and not be able to kill anything.
Yeah, I'm hoping that for both the console and the PC, it's like 64 versus 64.
I think it is,
because especially the Xbox One, and PS4, they should have.
Those get obnoxious though.
Those do, but like that's awesome.
I hope they have servers that you can pick 32 or 64.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like if you're playing some of those ones where you're trying to capture, it's just ungodly with 64. Like
it's hard to coordinate with that. I mean, even 32, it's hard to coordinate.
Yeah.
That big of a group.
Well, true too, but in the thing too, with smaller groups, your squad could be a lot, could shine more. You know what I mean? Like if you have a really good squad, that squad might be able to pull through on whatever side you're on. But if you have
not 64,
well, 64, you have to have like a couple of squads that know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, and that sucks because then you'll get like against these like big clans of people at that point, and you just get rocked every time.
Yeah.
And then it becomes what Battlefield was for a lot of normal, like, casual gamers.
Yeah.
Where they're like, this is too hard. This is too hardcore. They get pissed off, throw their shit, and then they quit playing.
And I was, I'm part of that group.
I know you are.
I've been thinking about coming back to it, but...
I've been lately just because you stay away from it for a while, and then you suck when you go back. And it's just hard to get back in the groove.
I definitely might do it once it gets closer to the Battlefront release.
Just to feel.
Yeah.
I hope they have space fights. Like
they actually won't.
Yeah.
They actually announced that there's going to be no space battles. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be any aerial combat on atmosphere.
Well, yeah, you'll have like speeders and whatnot.
It'll be like Battlefield 4, where you probably have the planes, which will be like your X-Wings and that.
Exactly.
I just hope they actually let you have more room than Battlefield did for the aerial.
Well, with 64, most likely.
The problem is, like, with the plane, you got to go, like, far out, turn around, and then, like, go for another run. And, like, sometimes you're dogfighting and you're going far out, and all of a sudden you're going out of bounds.
That's another thing, too, is how are these going to act physically in the world? Are we going to have huge-ass maps? Is there going to be something where if you go into a squad... Because we don't know if there's going to be squadrons of these X-Wings, TIE Fighters. Are they going to be in a special part... that engage over the space of the actual land battle. So like
it'll be over the space of the land battle. I guarantee
but what I'm saying is though is that map going to double or triple?
Not necessarily the floor. I just want them
if it's aerial. You know what I mean? So like for example, in Battlefront 3, for example, if you're in
Battlefield 3,
or I'm sorry, Battlefield 3, Battlefront 4, whenever you're in a plane or a helicopter, you're basically tied to that map that you share.
You can go a little farther out of bounds, quite a little bit, but I want it to be a little more, is what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, do you think they're going to introduce a mechanic or an instance where, so you have the land map, but people who are in the aerial vehicles have a special aerial map that is 3 times as big, but they only you only see them. You can only interact with people on the ground in a special part or in that ground portion of the map. Yes. You know what I'm saying?
I think they should.
Yes, I agree.
To where it's like double the size, to where you are dogfighting, you can still fly around. Don't worry about going out of bounds technically too easily. But if you do fall out of your plane, you're fucking dead.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, unless you're lucky enough to where you can bail out.
Over the land.
Over the ground map.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yes, I agree that something should be like that.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, what would be cool is I was mentioning to Joey just for that last second. The vehicles, like you get the Millennium Falcon, like you can get quite a few people in there and run those turrets. Like,
yes.
On top and on the bottom. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so I think I actually might try more aerial stuff in Battlefront, just because a lot of those vehicles you need like a second or third person to man those turrets.
Like the Y-wing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
pretty common. Or even the snow speeders have a pair.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would be sick.
Hoth.
One person shoots the legs and they spin them around. Oh yes.
I was just reading. IGN had an article on the game.
Mm-hmm.
In the DLC Battle of Jakku, they said we'll give insight into the movie.
Okay.
And why like the Star Destroyer was buried in the desert.
Oh,
and
okay.
And they posted like, hopefully you'll have the chance to put it there. It's like, oh, that'd be so cool.
That would be really cool.
Take down a Star Destroyer. Now,
something like that I could see being cool. Like that's why it's canon. Like, oh, this is a Star Destroyer is buried in Jakku just because of what we did in Battlefront.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that also indicates that I'm sure there's going to be two factions: Imperial, New Republic / Rebels. They're going to have canon on the Rebels / New Republic, because anything you do in the Imperial, it doesn't necessarily mean that it sticks in episode 7, 8, or 9.
The one thing I just thought of is, Battlefield 3 and 4, they added like earthly things where you can cause like earthquakes and different things like that.
Yeah, it's true.
That could technically be like one of those events where you can take down their destroyer.
I could totally see like
that would be cool.
Having like 30 TIEs on there, like 30 TIE fighters, and then if you take it down, like you can't use TIE fighters or something like that.
Or like you can't use as many. Or a specific vehicle spawn is no longer, or a special perk you can't no longer do.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
That reminds me of the space battle, sort of in like 2. Like you take out the shields or something like that. Like you had the points on the ship to destroy.
Yes. So
that reminds me like that. You might have objectives.
Exactly. So
for every level.
In Battlefront 2, you had 2 ways of taking out a spaceship or a carrier ship. You can destroy it from the outside with your spaceship, or if you take down the shields, you can go inside and take it out that
sabotage
way.
It. Which was really cool.
I
loved
it that way.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah.
And then I would take their ship at the end and be like, yay.
Yeah. It was bad because those space battles, you couldn't play as the hero class, but I was so bad wanting to be like Anakin or like Obi-Wan Kenobi going into the separatist capital ships. Cut them down.
Seriously, yeah. You would walk through that no problem.
Yeah, but it would have been cool to have at least
get like Darth Vader's TIE fighter and fly in there.
Oh my! Wouldn't that be awesome? like Darth Vader, commandeers a rebel capital ship, destroys it from the inside out, and then jumps back out with his TIE fighter. That would be awesome. I hope they do that, but there's no space battles.
Yeah.
Maybe potentially a DLC, which is
could be, or at least like one,
Yeah,
like a big one, whatever.
Because if I remember correctly, the verbiage was that there's going to be no space battles at launch, or no space battles in Battlefront. I want to say that there's no space battles at launch. At least that's how I took it as.
Hopefully, but you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, they got such big maps as it is.
True. And space battles.
Just leaving it out.
Well, but wouldn't space battles technically be easier to do? Because it's basically just stars and a planet on the bottom. All you have to really worry about is like game mechanics, I guess. Because that's basically just an all-vehicle.
There's a little more.
I feel like if you had 64 players
in a
dogfight, nothing would get done.
Something like that.
Everybody would be knocking into each other. There's just cluttered space.
Yeah. Well, what could happen is similar to what Battlefront, the first Battlefield did. Is you could have potentially somebody being like a commander and like order drops for something like that. What if space battles introduce something similar to that, where there's a space battle scene or part where only let's say just a small group of people opt in for it. So instead of 64 versus 64, it's like 10v10, and each person is the commander that is influencing a ground battle in another map or in that same like server, but yet there's these other 9 people trying to defend and knock out that other commander. That would be kind of cool.
That would be, but I doubt that would ever happen.
So far-fetched.
Because all these, like half the people around there would be like 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Just trying to get like.
Well, that's why I'm saying that it's like it's a smaller group, and it might be tiered to something maybe like level-based. So, like, you know, you can only do it when you're a certain level. So, you know, Joe Schmo...
So it's all going to be all kids first, because they have all this time.
Well, technically. But I'm just saying that would be cool. As a way of introducing...
I totally agree.
A way of introducing a space battle, so...
One thing I heard that I really thought was cool was they had an option for first person or third.
Ooh, yes.
That'll be fun.
Which, I mean, you can just play it by... Because I feel like it'd be hard to be like Darth Vader in first person.
But that would be pretty cool, though.
It would, but it'd be nice to have the option, just because you see more of the battlefield.
Yeah. At that point, I would play on the PC, triple monitor going on, have my peripherals on the two sides.
Get the Oculus Rift.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I would mount it to my Vader helmet.
You put on my Vader helmet.
Yeah,
cosplay while you're playing the game.
Oh my god! Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But the more that we're talking about this, the more I'm getting excited for it. I think I actually might dust off Battlefront 2 and play a couple.
I still
of
have them both. I'm pretty sure.
I got it on Steam.
I got it on Steam. Yeah,
it up on Steam.
Exactly. I also just wanted to mention really quick too that they also released the season 2 teaser of Star Wars Rebels. I know you guys really haven't watched it or haven't seen too many episodes of it.
No, it's on my list.
If you guys, anybody listening out here, liked the Clone Wars and want something a little bit more, I guess, adult themed, and that takes place in between the dark times of episodes 3 and 4, the Star Wars Rebels season 1 is awesome. Phenomenal show. I know one of the characters is voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. He does a really good voice acting job. It's a really good story, and it's also canon. It ties in with the overall history of Star Wars now. So
yeah, that's nice. Gives you more incentive to watch it.
Yes, exactly, and it gives you. Granted, we're going. A lot of this canon stuff is always in the past. What happens in between 3 and 4, or in between 4 and 6. It's actually nice to see something that could potentially have ripples into 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because the producer and then I think the director of Rebels mentioned saying, while Clone Wars didn't necessarily have any ripples to further, because they didn't really have a plan to how they wanted to end Clone Wars.
Yeah, and they really didn't.
And Clone Wars. To be honest, they really didn't. And that's why some of the books and comic book storylines are actually old scripts from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But there actually is a end goal for Rebels. It's going to be about 3 or 4 seasons. And then we're potentially going to see that ripple into Episode 7.
Which is nice. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of what they're doing with Marvel. As far as the shows, tying in with movies.
Little supplements.
Yes.
Which is really cool. I like that. Having the multifaceted universe.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that we're in a world now, especially with TV and movies, kind of interweaving or connecting somehow, which is really, really cool and really nice.
I agree.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention about that. You can check that out. That was, I think, also released on a Friday. That same time, I think, as Battlefront, and
I'm definitely gonna find a way to watch it.
We can probably stream it online somewhere.
Exactly.
I didn't say anything. But we actually do have some questions. I posted on our Facebook channel, which you guys should follow us there. Also on Twitter and Instagram. But one of our friends posted a couple of questions, and just kind of this is going to be.
Name.
Well, it was our friend Brent. Thank you, Brent. Thank you for sending us some questions.
Miss you.
So, we kind of already answered these questions before, or as we were talking about Episode 7. But we'll start with this. I'll just name them off, and then we'll go in order. So, question 1, Darius and the new lightsaber. Question 2. Oh, sorry.
Try to help you.
Sorry. Question 2 is the first planet Tatooine? That's an obvious question right there, or answer. And then who is running the Empire, which is a little bit more in depth. But question 1.
Could you repeat it for me, please?
Is the theories on the new lightsaber?
Well, we hit that a little bit.
A little bit.
As far as for Kylo Ren.
Either Kylo Ren or is that actually going to be a new staple in the Jedi/Sith order? I mean, you can kind of take this question any way you want.
Yeah, it had from that shot at Star Wars Celebration of the Hilt.
Yep.
It had a gash in it. It actually saved his hand one time.
Mm-hmm.
It took a hit. So
yeah,
I could see other people using it.
So let me ask you this: is that gash before he added the crossguard? kind of a thing. You know what I mean? He added the crossguard after he got that damage on that lightsaber.
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it could be either. I feel like, yeah, that's a good point. That it was before, like,
yeah.
Okay, I need mini sabers now on the side.
Yeah, I need actual guards on that.
I think they also did that.
I'm gonna research medieval fighting real quick, and
yeah,
it also helps the people that like were hating on it from the first teaser. And you see him draw the lightsaber, and everyone's like, "That's so impractical." And now you might actually see him use it for good reason.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's used as a defensive mechanism in medieval swords and stuff like that, it's also it's a mini lightsaber that he could probably. In theory, you would think that he can activate those independently. So if he wanted to, he has a dagger at that point, a mini dagger that he could use stealthily.
I could see that as some sort of torture too.
Yeah,
just a small blade.
Yeah, just slowly going into your thigh or something like that.
Cutting fingers off one.
Exactly. Maybe that's why that one guy in the teaser trailer has got a robotic hand when he touched R2-D2. He fought Kylo Ren and he just chopped off all his fingers with his.
I thought that's Luke.
Yeah, I thought that was Luke.
Not necessarily. We don't know who that person is, to be honest.
They led us to believe it with the same hand, and then as he's saying, I have, like, the Force.
Yeah.
You see him touch R2.
It's implied, but it's not, we don't know who that character technically is. That also could be the child of Luke as well. Because I think he says, too, it runs in my family.
So does losing your right hand, apparently.
You need to lose your right hand to become a real Jedi.
Yeah, well, it's a Skywalker family ritual.
He's born without it. Just
you want to be a Skywalker? Yeah. Chop.
Well, the other reason why I don't think that's actually Luke is because he actually had a identical human-looking hand. The hand that
we got an upgrade,
but
it's 30 years later.
One thing we were talking about with that is the rumor was he's in hiding or gone for so many years.
Yeah,
it could have just decayed or something like
30
that.
30 years. Robotics.
Because if he's on his own, there's no way to keep it maintained.
True. Granted, we could
maybe depil it up and fix it.
He's not a Terminator.
You never know.
Listen to me very carefully.
Take the lightsaber and cut it open and rip it off.
But we got sidetracked with that lightsaber question. But what about you, Mike? I know you mentioned, or we talked about it earlier, but any theories on the lightsaber or lightsabers as a whole? Are we going to see new styles? Are we going to see the crossguard being a new
styles of fighting from it?
Well, either new styles of fighting, or are we going to see something of the effect of basically the original trilogy? We got the single-bladed lightsaber, okay, relics of an old, long-dead religion. And then the new trilogy, we had the single lightsaber and then double-bladed lightsabers, essentially two lightsabers on end and end. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see a potential evolution of a lightsaber? Are we going to see maybe a lightsaber whip? Or are we going to see something similar to what we saw with the guard?
You got with the Inquisitor, you got the helicopter.
Yeah, the helicopter one, which I'm all for. Because again, AMC Movie Talk, John Campea, who's a huge Star Wars person like I am, he's probably bigger than I am on it. But he's like, okay, the first two trilogies, fine, double-bladed and single-bladed. But he's like, with Rebels and then potentially with other styles that we could see, he doesn't. And I kind of agree with him. I don't want him to see something gimmicky. Like, if it's a gimmicky lightsaber, like, oh, this one shoots
mini lightsabers.
Like, I don't think that would be cool. But
shoots laser beams on top of being a blade.
Do you think it could be just because of like their training and upbringing? Like you had to adhere to a certain build format, whereas now, like, if Kylo Ren trained himself, he could be like, I do what I want.
Yeah. And then very similar to the little kid on Rebels, that little boy. He actually makes his own lightsaber towards the end of the season. I'm not giving away too much, but that lightsaber actually has a built-in like blaster.
Oh, that's cool.
So he can shoot out of it too, which I thought was actually now something like that. Granted, people may not like that, but that's actually a pretty cool idea.
It's like Assassin's Creed.
Well, that's not like Assassin's Creed, but like he's not a full-fledged Jedi, so he doesn't know what blasters are for the uncivilized. That's what Obi-Wan Kenobi's quote is. A lightsaber is an elegant weapon.
When you got two Jedis left, you kind
of have to take some measurement. Yeah. You kind of have to take some survival caution. So, yeah, I think we pretty much talked to that one to death. The second question is the first planet Tatooine. We simply know that is no, it's not. It's Jakku. We don't know in relations to what Jakku is to the new movie. Could just have been just a battle for the Rebels and Empire after 6, but we don't know exactly what Jakku's for. And then who's running the Empire is the last question that Brent sent us, and we kind of touched on that before.
That's Tom had one similar too. He said, "Was the Empire defeated, or are they just biding their time after the Death Star blew up?" So they kind of go together.
So taking into account the expanded universe, which we know that they're going to cherry pick and use some of the ideas and topics from the expanding universe and then make them legit canon, I think what we're going to see in Episode 7 is potentially like the last hurrah from the last big Empire faction or remnant, and that could potentially be the beginning of the film. They're fighting, and that's where the character Finn is infiltrating, trying to sabotage the Empire. And then this could also be when Kylo Ren's character comes in. He's like, "No, I will rebuild you. Follow my teachings. Follow my new order." And that's why you have him commanding these stormtroopers or these new troopers. So that's my take on that. I don't necessarily think Kylo Ren's going to be a emperor / Lord Commander kind of a thing, but I think he's going to influence a very big part of the factions of the Empire. Because I'm going to believe that they're going to still be factions of the Empire. They're not going to just give up. Mm-hmm. And then just
kind of like mini militias at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So what about you guys though?
I think it'll be a power struggle of all of them fighting for different sections and like you said, factions. But I think they'll probably fight territory wise. Maybe we'll take this planet, you guys take these planets.
Okay. Now, do you think too that when we see Episode 7, do you think that there is going to be already the New Republic? Do you think that the Republic is going to be back in full swing, or is it going to be
I
gritty?
think they'll be still building it.
It's still building a very gritty, the Empire. Even though it's 30 years later, the Empire is still around.
That's not a lot of time. That's still very, very young.
Exactly. And to be honest, too, the Empire was literally all of the Old Republic. The Palpatine switched it basically. He flipped the coin, and then they made it the Empire. So there's a lot of world, a lot of territory, and I'm sure that it's not nowhere near as bad. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a very gritty. Yes, the Empire is over, but we have something worse than the Empire.
Yeah.
We have.
Now you have mini empires almost. If
exactly.
you go the faction route.
Exactly,
which could make it even harder to... You're not facing one giant beast. You have many smaller enemies, which is just as difficult.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren could have been a different faction, an elite group that just hid out, and now he's trying to take it all.
Exactly. And again, we don't know exactly what happened, because it's implied now, through at least the Rebels TV series, that there are Inquisitors. These Force dark side users that work for the Empire that are supposed to weed out other Force users and either have them join or kill them. So we don't know if Kylo Ren is a old Force user from the Empire's Inquisitor order or whatever. So that's something too, that there maybe these factions are also being run by these Inquisitors or these Empire Force friendly users or whatever. So, yeah. So that's all the questions that Brent sent us. Now you said Tom had some for us as well. Any?
Yeah, we covered most. Just some aligned with Brett's, and then the others were about Kylo Ren, which he covered earlier. But then the other one he had was with Han and Chewie, and he says, "Look, we're home."
Yes.
And they have their weapons drawn on what is the interior of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, which looked like one. Yeah.
Do you think they lost it and they just gained it back? And who do you think had it?
Good question. So we know that, first of all, at the end of Episode 6, they're together. They have it. They got it back from Lando. We really don't know what or who had the Millennium Falcon. Or he could be also talking about maybe a planet, too. We don't know if he means a specific planet. Granted, he says it in the interior that would look to be the Millennium Falcon, which he's probably talking... Because I think the docking bay is in that that area that we saw in the trailer. You know what I mean? It has that open-looking area to it.
So he could be exiting
either exiting or coming into the Millennium Falcon saying, "Oh, we're home."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I'm finally here."
Sheik, maybe.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Chewie.
But from that quote, if I had to take it, potentially maybe he lost it to the Empire at one point, and that's why he's on Jakku to get it back, and that's why the Imperial
or he retired or something and sold it.
That firefight could be
because he might not have needed it, and then shit hits the fan, and he needed to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So he steals it back. Mm-hmm. Scoundrel, you know.
Yeah.
That firefight could be him escaping, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just recovered it, and they're trying to get out of there. They got the ties on their tail.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. Another thing, too, is, like you said, maybe Han actually, put up his holster and ammo for a maybe normal life. Maybe he got a position, or maybe he tried to help out the rebuilding of the Republic with Leia, because we have no idea how Han and Leia are going to act.
Mm-hmm.
There's many speculation that they're going to be they're going to have their children, but they're going to be split at that point, like almost like a divorce kind of a thing. So we don't know as well. Maybe he picks up his Millennium Falcon to go back and one last hurrah. There's also been reports that Han Solo's character potentially might die at the end of Episode 7 or throughout the course of it.
Yeah,
Harrison Ford it's weird. Harrison Ford doesn't like to be called or doesn't like to be associated as Han Solo because he's had this other film career.
Mm-hmm.
He's really the only one who has actually had a film career after Star Wars. Carrie Fisher not so much, Mark Hamill not so much, but Mark Hamill went to be voice acting, but it's a whole other story. So it'll be interesting to see if the Millennium Falcon was taken by somebody and and granted he's talking to Chewie, he's like, Chewie, we're home, but they have their guns drawn. Who are they pointing at? Who are they?
Could be a faction.
Could be an Imperial. Could be maybe it could be Finn. Maybe Finn and what's her face? Ren.
I can't remember. Yeah, the female lead.
The female lead. Maybe they find it, and Han and Chewie are looking for it at one point too, or it got lost somehow, and they find it, and then Han and Chewie or come up behind them, and like, hey Chewie, we're home. And you turn around or whatever. I don't know. We don't know yet.
Okay.
It's just a teaser at this point.
Yep.
So, yeah.
He had one more too. Let me bring it up real quick. One more question. It was, do you think in the time between movies, Luke has trained any other Jedi or attempted to? Because even Leia is Force sensitive, so
yeah.
She could very well be a Jedi now.
Yes. So, now I mentioned this earlier, I think in other podcasts when they released Star Wars info.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing that I have to see in order for me to actually accept this movie. I have to see some other Jedi other than Luke. Now, if it's only Leia and potentially Leia's children and Luke's children, because we don't know if Luke's going to have children or not, okay, fine, that's kind of a cop-out, but okay, fine. There's other Jedi, there's other Force users. If they don't have another Jedi Order, or at least if Luke's not building up one, I'm just going to be totally pissed. What have you been doing for 30 years? Fighting the Empire still?
I feel like Finn will be a Jedi. Or starting to train as one.
Oh, that's a lot of speculation, too. Is him potentially being a Jedi or Force sensitive in some theory.
True. Yeah. Well, you see him almost in every shot, except for a few, he is a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's already shown he's kind of, resisting that aspect of,
Mm-hmm. I want to say on that panel, too, that they asked that the actor, I can't think of his name at the moment.
John Boyega?
John Boyega. They asked him, hey, are you evil?
Yeah.
And he kind of looked at J.J. Abrams, and J.J. Abrams is like, no, we're not going to answer that question. And then the same guy was like, well, are you a stormtrooper at one point in time? And then he kind of looks at J.J., and J.J. just kind of shakes his head, and John Boyega was like, yeah, I was a stormtrooper.
Yeah, they asked him I thought it was that, or are you a good guy or something like that.
Something.
He nods his head, and JJ's kind of hey,
something like that. So, it'll be very interesting to see. It again. teaser trailer number 2. We don't know what's going on. They haven't released any plot details yet.
We still got plenty of time.
Yeah, we have nine.
Sadly.
Yeah, we have 9 more months until it actually is released or something like that. So, but yeah. Yeah, that's all I had really.
We ran through all the questions.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts? Anything you guys want to mention or talk about, or hopes and dreams, potential fears, or whatever for any of it?
Overall, I'm pretty optimistic. Like,
yes, so am I.
I feel good with it. Disney's done good with Marvel, so I feel they're going to treat the Star Wars universe the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's another thing too. A closing comment is that the Kathleen Kennedy, I think is her name, who was like the head of Lucasfilms ever since George stepped down. She, I think, mentioned too on that panel that there's going to be a very strong like female presence too, which I'm totally down for. I'm totally cool to see, because that's kind of like one thing that you kind of don't really get other than Carrie Fisher's character in the original trilogy is that strong female.
Agreed.
Well, it was
role.
That. Look at the era. Like in movies, it was like in the 70s, and that there wasn't.
Well, true. I mean, yeah, they're other than like Ripley from Aliens and Alien. There really wasn't anything. And then even with the prequel trilogy, like Padme, she was more like a damsel in distress than she was more of a strong like fighter character. But she did pull her own weight.
I was gonna say, I felt she held her own in 2.
Oh yeah,
Attack
2,
of the Clones.
yeah, 2 and she's not so much in 3 because she didn't really have a lot of time, but
she was pregnant too.
That too, but her character is expanded upon Clone Wars. She's actually a very capable senator.
Exactly.
She does things that she needs to do. She doesn't need any help from Anakin or anybody in that sense, unless she really, really needs it, or isn't over her head. But
especially the fact now that Carrie Fisher, well, it's 30 years older. Carrie Fisher's much older.
Yeah,
it's harder for her character to still hold the one solid female heroine lead.
Yeah. And especially too, I hope that, granted, I hope that at least Luke and Leia or a presence in 7, 8, and 9, but everybody is saying that this has to be like a passing of the baton or passing of the torch to this new younger, even if they're the children of the Skywalkers, because again, that has to mean something when Luke, when they did the voiceover in the teaser trailer too. It's in my family. It's my father had it, I had it, my sister has it, you have it. Again. He's talking about Leia in that part, but when he says, you have it, that's when that female, or it looked like a female hand, grabbed that lightsaber from that other person.
Yeah.
Well,
that was for my sister.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, my sister, and then, you had it.
And they speculate that they were giving it to Leia, they recovered her brother's saber. Yeah,
something like that, so it's going to be really cool. I can't wait. December can't come here fast enough. We have to even see, we have to see Age of Ultron, which comes out in a couple weeks. And then Star Wars after that.
Yeah. Jurassic Park, too.
Jurassic Park in July. Oh, my God.
Yeah. You got Ant-Man. I totally forgot about Ant-Man.
Ant-Man also in July, which looks phenomenal. So
yeah, it's going to be
a good year.
Oh, yeah. Lots of blockbusters.
Yeah, and then next year, Batman vs. Superman, which I am actually kind of afraid for if it's going to suck.
I don't know. Mixed feelings.
Even though this is a Star Wars podcast, that teaser I saw... Oh, shit. The teaser I saw of it looked very... It seemed like black and white. Like, Superman is false god. He's a bad man. Batman's a good guy because he's going to bring down Superman. I don't know. It was just a teaser.
I hope it's something good.
It's the first footage we've seen. It's hard to tell.
And again, that's another film that we don't know plot yet. Other than Batman and Superman are going to fight it. But, again, Star Wars podcast, damn it.
Yep.
Save that for another day.
Save that for another day, exactly. So, I'd like to thank you again, peoples of the interwebs, listening to our Star Wars special podcast. And again, I mentioned in the beginning of the show that this might be a little bit more of a regular thing. Either myself will be doing it, or I might have awesome people with me doing it too. My name is Staz, and with me I had Mike and Joey.
Hey, Keith.
And before we actually take off, we're going to be at C2E2 this next week in Chicago, the McCormick Place, I believe, correct?
Correct.
April 24th through 26th.
Yep, April 24th through the 26th, which is next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're gonna try and have something to show that we're from Nerd Central. maybe flyers or something, or because I know we wanted T-shirts at one point, but
yeah, I tried doing that, but then with me coming home, it kind of ruined it.
No big deal.
I'll be honest.
No big deal. Right. But again, we'll have something to show for that, and hopefully, anybody who listens can stop by, say hi, tell us whether or not we suck at what we do here. But again, and also like always, please rate, comment, subscribe, let us know how we're doing. Put us questions on our Facebook at Nerd Central Podcast. Nerd Central Cosplay. We also have a Twitter at Nerd Central.
Or it's nerd_C_central.
There you go. Instagram as well at Nerd Central Cosplay. And and then we also have a website, www.nerdcentralcosplay.wordpress.com.
Yes, sir. Sorry, it hasn't been updated, guys. I've been without internet.
But again, you can find almost all of our updates either on Twitter or on Facebook. We do that a little bit more frequent. So I'd like to thank you again, and everybody have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
I like that.
Peace is a lie.